And you need to end his stream on the legacy page and start a stream and connect this to it.
Is he still there?
Yeah. He obviously didn't realise that you've got a show on here, and he's probably been every week just doing his stream for as long as he wants because there's no show.
So can I end this stream?
Yeah, because you're admin on the page, yeah.
Right, I'll have to do it. I've got 3 bloody minutes to do that now. Just trying to phone him. Facebook, innit? Come on.
End this stream. Yeah, because you're admin on the page, yeah. Right, we'll have to do it about 3 good minutes.
Are we not live?
No, not yet. We're live, but no one's got this link. This link needs to connect to the Facebook page.
Okay. So how come when I'm on my phone now and it's got live now on the legacy page?
What's live? This?
We are. Yeah.
Huh? Unless it's 2 live streams, because I can see.
My God, we are.
6
people are watching. I'm still smoking.
Yeah, we're live, aren't we?
Can you not see anything, Ray?
I can see you. It said you started the live. It said you started the live 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we're on then. Okay, listen. Where's Angeli gone?
Medea.
Okay, good to see you. Okay, everybody, listen. This is the first time for Search Engine on Facebook page, so we're going to have a little talk, see how it goes, and we'll take it from there. I'm sure as things go and move on, we will improve. Say greetings. This is the T.A.P Talks and Search Engine show, making that transition from legacy radio studio in Manchester, Moorside, onto this new platform here with the T.A.P team. And this is a T.A.P Talks meets the search engine. You can go and find out from some previous shows at SearchEngineUK SoundCloud, where you can see some past shows. The show has been going for quite a while. Chat, discussion, and debate and views are always wanted, needed, and as I said, much appreciated. Well, I didn't say it, but I do say that on the show, on the radio. So let me introduce who we've got with us at the moment. Our guest for this evening is Colette Williams. Hello, Colette. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing all right, thanks.
Good. We've also got T.A.P team that's here at the moment: Otis, Thomas, and Angeli.
Hello.
How are you doing? So yeah, like I said, we're going to have bumps and whatever as we go through this evening, but we will improve as time goes on. As I said, views and comments are wanted and needed. Let us know what you think. Topics for this evening on the T.A.P Talks Meet Search Engine. We're going to be talking about, we can't really go to have the show and not discuss coronavirus, COVID-19. So we are going to touch on that. And again, like I said, your views on that. It's been a long time. A lot of people have been in lockdown. It's also been confusing for many people. And some people also feel that they haven't had the opportunity to really share and voice their feelings. So we're hoping that you will do that this evening. Although we are on the internet and worldwide, this is, like I said, Legacy 90.1. It's a community radio station, and we want to let you know that we are still close and feeling you and want to connect with you as the community. That's not to say that we're not interested in linking with the wider global, but our affiliation is to Manchester, UK, Moorside. Second topic that we're going to be talking about, I put it down on the sheet as Draconian Behaviours. And when I say Draconian Behaviours, I think there's quite a few people that are at fault with regard to that, that we've seen police, which we believe have used force, overt force unnecessarily. And, you know, I think there's also been behaviours from people in the public as well that has been questionable. But saying that, I think what a lot of people have also said is some of the guidance that has been given with regard to what people should be doing. Got you there now, Luke. Hiya.
Right, just in between a little smoke. Big up, everyone, big up.
It's all right, man. So yeah. So that's the topics. COVID-19, police brutality, not necessarily police brutality, just draconian measures which actually go with this lockdown, doesn't it? And also we're going to be speaking to Daryl Speaks. Now, Daryl is going to be talking to us about economics and cryptocurrency. Otis, tell us a bit more about Daryl, please.
So Daryl is the CEO of an organization called Sableassent. So Sableassent is a Pan-African cryptocurrency. So to access the platform, you need to be a minimum of 51% Black-owned business. So it's an exchange platform. As well as it being a coin, it's also operating like a bank, like a Federal Reserve. So you can apply for loans from the setup. It will also have an API, so similar to PayPal, where they perform transactions via PayPal. PayPal currently charges, I think it's 2.9%, whereas when this launches, it'll only be 1.7 or 1.9. As well as that, we also have escrow services. So this will help ease adoption into transactions between the African diaspora and people on the continent, in that finances will be in a secured account before any exchange takes place. So yeah, I think it's just it's the solution that we need right now, and it's definitely the step in the right direction to providing true economic freedom for us as it operates outside their SWIFT system. So yeah.
Okay, excellent. Can I just get a feedback of what's been going on for yourselves as a TAP team since we last spoke? Some of the things that you have been doing, maybe introduce yourselves and yeah, bring us up to date. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, Anthony, Colette, Otis, and Sister Angeli. Hope everyone's good, and the wider listeners, Manchester and worldwide, whoever's tuned in. Yeah, just it's a bit of a weird one since this COVID started, because there was a lot of plans and stuff that we had earmarked for this year, and then obviously the COVID outbreak put a halt to it all. So it's just been a bit of a really weird, sort of frustrating time at the same time as well. You know, we had the Kwanzaa series that was planned to sort of be launched this year, where we sort of take the principles of Kwanzaa and making events surrounding each one, just to bring more awareness around Kwanzaa. There were other events that we had planned as well, but like I said, with this COVID, it's just sort of put a halt to it and sort of changed the dynamics of even the future. So just on my behalf, that was something that was quite a bit of a shock, because we was just sort of getting to the stage where we sort of building. We had a great meeting with Sister Jackie Bailey, consultant, and she sort of organised us in a way where we were sort of enthusiastic about the year, the approaching year, and the work that we had planned. So yeah, just a bit of a frustrating time really now.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Angeli?
Yes, so just in terms of, I mean, Luke has already touched on some of the work that we had planned. What we've managed to do, luckily, through conversations with some of our partnerships, existing partnerships, with some of the work that we're working on, we are still able to deliver one of our projects, which is with Tech Manchester. They're part of UK Fast, and we're delivering some work around STEM, essentially, or tech. It's called Tech Equity. It's a program where we're going to be working with BAME women from Manchester, helping them to learn how to code, essentially, or how to learn Linux, which is kind of like a building block of the internet, particularly Android. So we've been able to move over some of our work to virtual classroom, so to speak. It's definitely been challenging, but it's also it's been really enjoyable, just kind of like looking at the different ways in which we can engage with people and still continue that learning and still continue our offer. So that's been good for us, if that makes sense. We've managed to be flexible and reactive and still continue to deliver that is to do more in the future. But yeah, definitely this uncertain time, if you call it, or this unprecedented time, it definitely put the stops, block on things for a while, or for a minute, sorry, should I say. But then we put our heads together and said, look, we need to continue what we're doing. So it's a case of just being quite visible when it comes to social media, getting involved in a lot of community projects, a lot of response projects, particularly in the BAME community, being around the table, being part of conversations, and just working towards our value, aims, and missions, which is about connecting the dots, being a bit of a conduit, trying to engage the community, get them involved with local stakeholders, etc., etc. So yeah, it's been okay. It's been all right.
Excellent. Otis, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, just to add, so myself and Angel are the people from T.A.P who are delivering the workshop with UK Fast. So just to add on to what Angel said, it has been interesting. I think it's been a case of, with the current circumstances, you either evolve or die. So you have to innovate, and I feel this has been a blessing in disguise for us, because now it's forced us to evolve and transition to an online infrastructure, which in the long run will definitely benefit T.A.P overall. It can be a bit difficult. It's just trying to get used to not seeing people's faces and if their screens on blank. So it's been interesting. As well as that, I've been working with Daryl at Sableassent, so I've been promoting that a little bit in regards to getting early adopters on board who have been purchasing discounted coins just before the launch, which is due in about 2 weeks, which Daryl will go into when he comes on. I've also been doing some work with UJIMA A, so they're doing a national campaign for a petition for a public independent inquiry as to why there's so many BAME deaths within this whole COVID-19 pandemic. So yeah, that's been interesting, and yeah, a couple other bits and pieces that I've been doing. So yeah, I'm busy. To be fair, my workload's increased during this time. So yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, thanks for that. Colette, can I say good evening to you? And
Big up Colette every time.
can you hear? So,
I brought her out of sabbatical. Did you hear that, Colette? Did you hear that, Colette?
No.
I could have brought you out your sabbatical.
Yeah, okay. So the question to me, but Anthony, before I go on to my question, and I do know that this is your show, the search engine, so I'm not trying to produce it. But what happened to conversation piece?
Pardon?
What happened to conversation piece?
Like I said at the beginning, I don't know if you heard when I said at the beginning, I've not done this before. It's a whole new thing for me, new software.
All right.
So I did have it, and in fact, I did try and play it at the beginning, and it didn't actually come through. So it's something definitely that I have to. Well, there's a lot more that I need to find out about how to do this. So yeah, I mean that song for me. That's my get started. I know I'm starting something when I play that song. So it's not by not trying that it's not there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what have I been up to? I've been doing my garden, and I'm building myself a little patio at the bottom of my garden, and I planted loads of flowers. I have reconfigured my house, so I'm setting up this room here as my office, and I've been bike riding in my heels, and I've been chilling.
Okay then. Right. So listen, let's get started in this conversation. We've given you the topics. The topics are COVID. The topics are draconian behaviours or laws that go along with this lockdown. I'm going to be talking to Daryl Speaks, and we're going to be talking about the Sable Coin and cryptocurrencies. I suppose I have to say at this time, as we do with the search engine, the views and opinions expressed on the search engine are not, and I would repeat, not necessarily the views and opinions of Legacy Radio. So we're just here to have debate and discussion, and so yeah, and get involved. I think you can leave messages and comments, and just let us know how it's going. I mean, we'll get there sooner or later. There it is. The important note: views and opinions expressed on the search engine global are not necessarily that of Legacy 90.1. We do not aim to upset or offend, but to encourage informative sharing, discussion, and debate. So at that, let's get into this initial conversation with regard to coronavirus and COVID-19. You kind of like touched on it before just a bit. Well, both you and Angeli, and how everybody's been affected. You talked about the effects on the so-called, as you say, so-called BAME, Otis community. Yeah. So yeah, where do you start with that? It's because I think there's been so much conversation with regard to what's happened or why it's happened, and I wouldn't like to say let's go there with the conversation. Let's say if we have to go there, then make it brief. But where we are now, yeah, and what's happening now, the most recent guidance that we've had from the government essentially at the moment is that things are being slightly lifted. There's so much opinions out there. Personally, I don't really know where to go, where to listen to. I'm somebody who does research, so I'm looking out there for some element of, do you know what I put it down to? All this confusion and questioning. There's a lack of trust. There's a massive lack of trust, especially in governments. Because there's some people who believe, yeah, the government's there to totally take care of you, look after you, have your best interests at heart, inform you. Yeah. But I think the fact that people are still got so many questions. I mean, the fact that hospitals now have space to take people, but people are still not going for fear of their own safety, speaks to that lack of trust in whether it's leaders, governments, or the message that is being put out there. But then you've also got the impact. I don't even think you can even fathom the impact that this has had on so many people right across the world. And it's very difficult to compare if we're looking at the UK and then we're looking at a country in Africa as to how they're having to deal with this situation. And I think it's wrong to try and put certain measures that are put on here in the UK on countries that don't have the same infrastructures at all in order to deal with it. But the other thing as well, and then I'll open it up to you, is the thing of conspiracies, because a lot of people are shouting out their conspiracies. People are having their shows taken off, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, for what they're saying. Now, I'm not also about abusive language or people, trying to hyper fear or whatever. But one thing, and this is has been a central feature of the search engine, is about speech. People being able to say how they feel, and that sometimes is regardless of if it offends somebody, because sometimes change doesn't come until people take that time to sit down and actually have an open conversation and are able to affect. I mean, that is a quality, yeah, that I actually quite loved about you guys, yeah. you're very close, but you pull each other up. Yeah, whether that's, I can't imagine what you're like when you're just in a room together, because I've seen what you're like in the studio when you're holding each other to account. Do you know what I mean? But those things need to.
It's a case of me on everyone and everyone on me, aren't they? Everyone's kind of.
Well, yeah, but we grow on that. So that's where it's in a small sense, yeah, where my head's at with COVID and Corona. I'm sure there's much more that's going to come out with that. Given that Colette is the guest, I'm going to bring you in first for your views on well, what I said there, or just anything that you've seen that is or has come across to you in this time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting this whole SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, which has gripped the Western world, because as we see from the figures that have been put out, so a lot of countries, either in the Caribbean or in Africa, haven't been impacted as much as we have. And I mean, right from the very beginning, I believe that I found it very interesting. The slowly government actually today. If you take into consideration the COVID-19 virus, killing a lot of people. The event of moving, we're getting a lot of feedback here. The event of virus moving from one to another, so from an animal to human, is extremely rare. And then when you look at
Colette, can I just stop you a minute, because I'm actually missing quite a lot of what you're saying. Are you hearing us clearly?
I think everyone mute unless you're speaking.
Oh, can I mute you? Well, does that make a difference? Let me see. If I mute you. All right. Well, sorry, Colette. Let's try that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, that's better. So anyway, I was talking about the event of a virus moving from one species to another, and it's extremely rare. When you look at it, it's only been Ebola, SARS-1, MERS, and COVID-2 now. So the fact that that's happened, one would have thought that all governments around the world would have taken greater notice about the amount of people that have been infected, the rate of infection, and also the deaths. And way before March the 23rd, when we locked down, I believe that we should have locked down much earlier than that. And also, you know, we take into consideration the government's lapsy-daisy approach to making sure that those that were working on the front line, nurses, doctors, security guards, cleaners, bus drivers, have protective clothing. And I think it's a travesty, and it is a tragedy as to how many people have lost their lives due to the government's inaction.
You said about the lockdown, and you think it should have happened before.
I think it should have happened before, yeah, absolutely.
But why do you think that?
Because of the event of the virus and how it came about and how it was spreading in China, in Wuhan. The fact that Japan had already closed its borders. Do you remember there was a cruise ship that was on that was anchored somewhere in I don't even know which ocean it was, but there was a cruise ship that was anchored for weeks and weeks, and Japan.
Yeah, I recall that.
Yeah, and that's because they feared the spread of the virus. And I think that the rest of the world should have took notice on that, and they should have done much more. They should have checked people that were coming in from the country. They should have quarantined them, and they should have done, you know, just put in checks that would have ensured that this virus, COVID-19, didn't take a hold as it has on these shores here in the UK. And if we look at the amount of people that have died, I think it was yesterday, there was a report that came out that said that 51,000 people have died in the UK. We're world leaders in the death rate of COVID. In America, they've got over 66,000 deaths. But when we're talking about the population in terms of percentage proportion, hands down, UK has got more deaths. And I just think the way that this government have gone about it has been absolutely disgusting. And I think that's an inquiry that we need to have as to why.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, guys, have you got any comebacks? Anybody want to say anything?
I just wanted to touch on the points where you opened up. For me, the word trust is a major talking point. The trust of the government, not even just from the Bain community, but from, I think, worldwide. People don't really trust their government to either say what they're going to deliver, what they say they're going to deliver. And with years and years and years of that mistrust building up, when something so drastic like this happens on such a global scale, when we're looking for our leaders to be the ones to put us in the right, give us the right advice, the right information, when that lack of trust isn't there, what's tended to happen, what I've seen happen over the last few years, is people have turned to YouTube and alternative medicines, alternative information, and because of the I think because the internet is so, anyone can start a YouTube page and just start giving off information. I think the fact that the government have tried to control the internet and what's been put out there, if you look at someone like Dr. Zebi then and his case over the last few years, the attack on someone doing alternative, for me, is an issue. So when we're talking about this mistrust, when we can't rely on the government and then the people who we are turning to are getting shut down as well, I sort of feel in a bit of like, who can you turn to? We do as much research as we can for ourselves to protect ourselves and our family, but when we're talking about on a global scale, it's hard to comprehend that everyone is in the same boat and there's no one to sort of help us. The government don't seem like they know what they're doing. I don't really know the stats and the figures. I've sort of kept away from all of that, but I do know that the lack of trust affects people. And then when we're talking about the human rights, people's human rights, and what you can and can't actually do now, regardless of the government restrictions, just on a more personal level within your family, can you go and see your family and friends? Can't you? You might be okay to say, yeah, it's okay for me to go out, but then your family members like, no, I don't really want to see you there. Do you know what I mean? There's so many different levels of trust, and not knowing where to turn to is a bit of an issue at the moment, I find. I don't know.
Well, sounds like you didn't. Listen, with that, when you're saying, I don't know. Do you know what we did with the microphones? I think it's better that we mute ourselves. I think that's where the feedback is coming.
I didn't really get any feedback then, but yeah, I can mute when I'm not talking. That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Right. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Yeah. I mean, how do you feel, Luke, about we're getting these messages from what they call the scientists. They're talking about the science and the data, and there's certain people that are putting forward to give that information and share it, and they put them forward as obviously the eminent in their field to be able to share that information.
Yeah. For me personally, yeah, I'm somewhat of I don't know, I don't trust none of them people. None of them. I just don't. Do you get what I'm saying? The catch-22 for me is I'm born and bred in England, and I'm dependent on the same government that I don't trust. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm dependent for them to keep Tesco's open, to keep the banks open, all the things that we're so accustomed to and we're so reliant on. The countries that you mentioned, the other, and I'm going to put it in inverted brackets, the third world countries, they're used to a certain liberty anyway. Do you get what I'm saying? Whereas if we had blackouts and our Wi-Fi went off, there'd be anarchy in the streets. I got no Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? It'd be, when we can't comprehend such a lifestyle, and the little lockdown that we have had, some people, you know, mental health gone through the roof. Some people have been really, really affected by this situation, and to point to the same government, and people have been saying all sorts about Boris, that he just doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't think the government know what they're talking about. So it's a hard one. I don't trust any of them in that sense. I don't. But then at the same time, it's them people that I'm relying on. If I break my leg, it's the same hospitals that I don't trust that I'm going to. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's a bit of a tricky one. For me, it's a tricky one when I don't trust them, but then still there's a sort of dependency on them at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, Angeli.
Wait, you have to mute her, unmute her.
No, she's muted herself.
I've muted myself. Sorry. Saying,
right.
Are you asking me to talk on my thoughts or just anything in particular, as opposed to this actual topic? I mean, just going on the points that Colette was talking about and what Brother Luke was talking about is, I think I agree with Colette's conclusion that, you know, something should have been done sooner. The signs were there, glaringly obvious, you know, and I think that our government was slow to react. I also agree with Luke's summation around, you know, having to trust the government that you don't really trust, if that makes sense. So for me, it's about putting trust in ourselves, finding our own individual and collective agency, and trying to find our own solutions, regardless whether it be on a micro or macro level. I think the way in which from my own personal experience, what I've seen over the past week, 2 weeks, the way I've seen, if you want to call it the Caribbean community, because that's my kind of like sphere of influence, the way I've seen them come together and respond to it has been quite heartening, really. I'm not saying that it's all the way there. I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm not saying that every single issue that is affecting us, whether it be the actual disease, the deaths, the bereavement, being out of schools, the whole myriad of issues and barriers that we've seen. I'm not saying that that's been sorted by any stretch, but I am seeing a collective movement. I am seeing people becoming more inquiring, but then at the same time, you know, there's a whole bunch of people who are becoming mini researchers out here, reading one Google page or one Google link, or and I'm not saying that, you know, you shouldn't go out and do that, but at the same time, there's a way to and then not only doing that, but doing that and then going on Facebook and then creating a bit of a furore, if that makes sense. And is it necessarily about the actual situation, or is it about those people getting a response? So every day there's dialogue, particularly on Facebook and social media. I'm in so many groups where it's being spoken about. I'm in some really cool supportive groups, and I'm also in some groups where it's really alarming, and there's some videos and pictures and information that's being shared in the whole conspiracy theory business. I try not to subscribe to that. I haven't watched the news in I don't know how long. I will, if I can, listen to the updates at 5, but boy, I'm not really backing what Boris is saying, because, you know, I just don't know what planet he's on, to be honest. He's so far removed from our experience. You know, there's no point in even listening to him, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that people shouldn't listen to the Prime Minister, but I also think that people need to exercise common sense. On the flip side, common sense ain't that common. It's crazy It's really, really crazy. I was looking at some figures just before we came on, and the latest figures that I've seen worldwide, there's been 4.37 million infections, if that's right. Let me just double check that, or confirmed cases. And then in America, I think Colette was saying that, I think it was yesterday, was 66,000. Today it's 85,000, you know. So you've got United States at the top of the league, then you've got Russia, and then you've got us, and we don't even have a recovered rate yet. People have been asking, what is our recovery rate, particularly in the BAME community, and we still can't get that information, you know, and that information will be so pivotal to understanding how this disease works and what we can be putting in place to help members of the BAME community, but particularly our elders as well, and those people who have, if you want to call it like mitigating factors or mitigating, you know, diseases or health conditions that might mitigate the disease if they were to catch it. So the top 5 being diabetes, dementia, COPD, kidney, heart disease, and asthma. We know in our community that we have high levels of all of those. So in terms of the disproportionate levels of death, there's that as well. But that's also to do, if you go down the rabbit hole, to do with how we live in, if that makes sense, structurally, and the inequalities that we already face. And there's just so many things, and I think you could send yourself stir crazy thinking about it. I think as long as we have shows like this, as long as we continue talking about it, as long as we work together collectively, clearly we're going to get out of the other end. But it's about what you know, what we're going to look like when we do get out of the other end, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Can I just say, sorry, can I just say that no one really talks about the survival rates? Like,
yeah, I
think it's like 99.9, like some high rates of people that are not even been affected at all.
Yeah.
Like 99, when anything's 99.9, that's high, isn't it? That's like, they're the rates that have survived.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, if you used to get a condom now, like it's 99 point whatever, people use that, innit? So I'm just saying the rates are so high, there's that small chance in it. So at the moment, we're dealing with a virus, like the same chance of getting pregnant from using a condom sort of vibe, innit? I know it sounds a bit weird to put it like that.
No, I understand the analysis.
You get the analogy what I'm trying to say. So it's like, put a bit of perspective on it. So whether you are a conspiracy theorist and you think it's a government thing trying to do something, not to say people are not dying, not to say the virus isn't real, but at the same time, 99 point whatever, and this is globally, you know, 99 goes globally of people that are surviving, not affected. So just before I moved on, I just thought I'd throw that in just off the back of your stats, Angeli, because that's a great, go on. I'm muting again.
Amazing. I would just say that deaths in the UK as it stands today is 33,614. So yesterday it was 40,000. The day before that, Colette was right. They were talking 50,000. And then I'll leave you to say what you're going to say, sis.
Yeah. You know, that whole thing, that two things, yeah. The one about conspiracy theorists. So as soon as you start to deviate from the popular view, you become a conspiracy theorist, which I think is extremely dangerous, because what happens, what that tends to lead to is that people then there's that whole thing about divide and rule. So there's the popular view, and then you nutcases that believe in all these conspiracy theories, and then the other thing is about talking about how we don't talk about the recovery rate. Now, the infection rate, the death rate once you've been infected, I think it's really low. I think it's something like 3.1% or something, or it might even be lower than that. Whereas if you take Ebola, for example, once you got Ebola, you had something like a 60%, a 40% chance of recovering from that. So yeah, the recovery rate is something that we should I don't want to say feel happy about, but take some kind of comfort, yeah, because you're less likely to die from coronavirus. However, yeah, whether it's 30,000 or 50,000, they're 30,000 and 50,000 unnecessary deaths that have occurred in the last 8 weeks. And if this government had acted in a proper way, a lot of those deaths would have been prevented. A lot of those deaths would have been prevented. So for me, it's okay to say, okay, but so many thousands of people have recovered. It's just like bringing into the argument, well, 2 million people died in the Spanish flu. We're not talking about the Spanish flu. We're talking about COVID-19 in 2020 in the Western Hemisphere, in developed countries, countries that can send people into space. They've got Star Wars, they've got nanotechnologies. Are you trying to tell me that the UK couldn't convert or make sure that some of these factories couldn't convert to make up PPE, protective clothing? Look how many people have died because they haven't got proper protective clothing. It's absolutely ridiculous. It really is. Sorry.
Why are you sorry?
Because I found myself shouting. Be aggressive.
Any views on that? Because the thing is, there is that feeling that a lot of what you just said then, Colette, that a lot of people do feel that they can have these feelings. They may be wrong, they may be right, but they should be able to express it. And a lot of people are not being given an opportunity to do that. I mean, I've listened to a lot of radio stations and I've heard loads of people call up and mention some of the things that you spoke about then, Colette. And the presenters have just cut them off and just says, I'm not even entertaining that conversation.
Yeah, I just wanted to
go on.
Go on, Otis.
Say again.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just echoing what Luke was saying. I don't like the narrative that they're pushing out. So you can push any narrative out based on how you initiate the data that's being released. So like Luke said, with the percentage that's being the recovery rate, 99 point whatever recovery rate. I also feel there's certain statistics such as the average death, what I've come across for people dying from COVID, is 1 year older than what the average death is currently. And also, from what I've seen, I've seen a doctor speaking in America, and she was explaining how they register the death as COVID after people test negative for COVID, but they're not necessarily died from COVID. So even people who are in a hospice, like on the last days that are dying, are still being registered as COVID. So I just don't trust the data. They're playing with the data. And also what I've come across as well is, as like the COVID deaths are going up from based on averages from the previous year, other deaths are going down. So, such as heart disease and other types of common cancer and other common deaths that occur. Like, it's just still the natural death rate is the same, but COVID's going up and other deaths are going down. So I don't trust the whole thing. And then the whole thing of WHO, like, why are WHO so powerful that they dictate what's good and what's bad? So with the president of Madagascar finding the herbal cure and then it having so far 100% success rate, and then him trying to distribute it to other countries in Africa, but who are trying to shut that down, saying, no, we've not tested it. Like, they want everything to go through them, and I'm not feeling it. So yeah, that's
and that for me is a sorry. Go ahead, Luke.
Sorry, Brother Anthony. Sorry, I just wanted to touch on what Brother Otis was saying, because again, when we say about they, it's a group, it's a worldwide global system that we're talking about, isn't it? So there's different levels to it. There's different people that are going to benefit.
I'm talking about who.
Yeah. I mean, just before that, innit? So you talked about the other governments and stuff. Even who, they're a part of the levels that I'm talking about. There's different people that are going to benefit from this in different ways. So when you're talking about this status quo, like the stats that Sister Colette was talking about, and how the government didn't react when they probably should have done, and people noticing that this has gone beyond colour now. This is not even a colour thing. This is just people we're at a stage now in life where you can get information just like that. Do you know what I mean? People are awake. Again, there's different levels of being awake and whatever that means to you. But my point what I was trying to make is there's millions of people that are gonna suffer from this. Mainly poor people are going to suffer from this, but there will be a level of people that are getting rich right now as we speak. And then the government side of it, they have to protect themselves in it. So they're not going to answer the questions that need to be answered. Again, this goes back to people not trusting the government from years and years and years, from them messing up and not being answerable. Like no one can ask them a question and get a proper answer. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's levels to it. Like what Otis is saying, people are benefiting from this, and the stats that they put out, you know, when someone alternative does say, hang on a minute, that's not how it goes, they get shut down anyway. So it's a tricky one, man. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. Sorry, Brother Anthony. No, not at all. I wanted to just hold on. Sorry, hold on. 1 minute.
Before you just go on to that, is what Otis and Luke are saying, are you saying that the stated deaths, the quotas, the figures are not necessarily real?
No, I'm not saying that the death rate's not real, but I'm saying I don't trust the data based on them registering deaths of the people dying of COVID who aren't dying of COVID. Does that make sense? So they're dying of other COVID causes, but based on the test kit, their so-called test kit, that they're testing people after they die and saying that they've had COVID, but not necessarily died of COVID, then it's being recorded with COVID. And then also seeing with the president, I think it was Zimbabwe, where he actually used the test kit and you put it on an animal and a fruit and sent it back to them and it came back positive. So we can't trust these people.
So are you saying that people in the NHS, people in civilian, the people that work in the morgue, that kind of thing, are you saying that they're falsifying? That they hold on, that they know that somebody's died, and the person's tested positive for COVID. Yeah. They may have had a heart attack, right?
Yeah.
But they tested positive for COVID. Are you saying that then doctors are lying? Then putting the reason for the deaths is COVID?
Yeah, I posted a video of a doctor. I posted a video of a doctor actually saying it live on the TV channel, saying that exact same thing.
Okay.
And just to clear up, I'm saying I don't trust them anyway. Like, so whether it's the doctors that are doing it or whether the doctors are writing the right thing down and then sending it to the people who are giving the report, there's levels that I don't trust in any of them. With saying that, if I get a broken leg or something's wrong with my liver or kidney, it's to the NHS I'm running. So that was my first predicament that I said. It's hard for me because the same people that I don't trust are the same people that unfortunately I depend on. And I think this is part of the issue, especially when we're talking about it in the BAME community. We've got a lack of trust in police, ambulance, anyone in that sort of institutional or authoritarian position. We've not had the best treatment with them. Do you get what I'm saying? I remember my mum years ago saying, don't go to hospital, they want to take black blood and she used to say that to me years ago. Like, so I've always had sort of like a distrust with the people who have got our supposed best interest at heart. So I'm just saying, Sister Colette, that I've got a sort of a lack of trust with these people. So I'm not saying who's actually manipulating what we're being fed, but somewhere down that chain, somewhere down that chain, we're not getting the right information, and we never have about anything.
But I mean, it's quite a bold statement, isn't it? It's really a bold statement to make, because basically what you're saying is that the NHS, those that are working in the NHS, whether they're doctors, registrars, or whoever records that, they're manipulating the numbers. And the question is, why would they be able to? Why they're manipulating it? And be careful, because you'll put yourself into that bracket of conspiracy theories.
No, but I've provided proof. I'm going to send you the video of the woman saying it. She blatantly, the one trying to hide nothing.
I'm not disputing it. I am not disputing it. Sorry.
But this is where I'll come to you, Angeli. This is where, like you say, in the sense of where you're getting the information from, who you're listening to, and like you say, the wider you give your research, and you're doing that, looking for people who are speaking the English language. I'm sure if you could speak Indian, or you could speak Russian, or you could speak French or whatever, you're finding the same things in every area. The thing that gets me is sometimes, you're getting some of these doctors who are saying alternatives are really eminent, but they're not being given that chance to even just sit down and debate somebody who's regularly. So you'll see on the radio they'll have maybe the same doctor come on each day talking about the same thing. Have the discussion, have the debate, allow whatever anybody's got to say. If somebody is latching onto a conspiracy theory, then give them the platform and debunk them.
Yeah, Colette, I've just tagged you in it on Facebook, so during the break you can watch it. It's like a minute.
There were them two doctors. There was them two doctors from America, weren't there? The two, and I think their thing got took down off the internet, and they were saying virtually everything that you were saying. So nothing is.
The thing is, I am not disputing that. I am not saying that's not what's happening. I know that's what happened. There's a guy on a guy called Charlie Williams. Yeah, his father died about 4 weeks ago, and he had to ask them to change the reason of his death because they put down COVID. He said that was incorrect. So I know it's happening. I know it's happening.
Yeah. Okay.
Angeli?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that this issue is so multi-layered. It's got so many kind of like spokes to it that we could be talking forever. Literally all day. Yeah, we could be talking forever. I think for me, the salient point, or the point that I definitely wanted to discuss and put out there, so to speak, is around how we support each other, because regardless of cause of death, regardless of whether or not we think what else is happening, and we can do our research, etc., and all of the reasons why. And just as an aside from that, Colette's point, listen, things happen. All I'm saying is that I've been where coroners have written down cause of death for one thing, and it's not been that thing. Or being there where eminent doctors have stood up supposedly in a court of law and in an inquest and said one thing when it's not been that thing. So it's not a stretch of an imagination that people will lie for all types of reasons. That's all I'm saying. But we don't know the ins and outs of it, if that makes sense. Yeah. All we can do is respond to what we're given. And what we're given is an environment of high fear, high anxiety, high isolation. What we have is generations, our elderly generation, and the children and our young people who are really, really suffering and really scared. And what can we be doing individually and collectively to support them and to enable some type of healing? Whether it be long-term or instantaneous, what can we be doing? And that, for me, is the most important thing. And then everything else, we can have that discussion. And that's just me personally. I'm not poo-pooing anything
Angeli, you mentioned before, when you spoke before, about support and support groups that you had joined, some that you found helpful, some that you didn't find so helpful. Just tell us about the helpful one a bit.
So, well, clearly TAP is always helpful. I always get joy from the TAP page and from our UJIMA. It's kind of like our focus group on WhatsApp. We share stuff on there. There's been some stuff in there I've been like, and there's been some stuff in there I've been like, yeah. So, I've joined a WhatsApp group on the back of an emergency community conversation that was pulled together by the Caribbean African Health Network. And there's so many different people and organizations in there who are talking and who are really putting forward some amazing solutions, having some amazing discourse. and really starting to work to tackle the position that we find ourselves in as a community. Personally, I've got myself involved in a lot of different things online, whether it be learning, whether it be some type of what I'm doing now, doing a soulful wellness course with Dr. Erica McInnes, you know, things like that, and then being involved in those groups there. There's people in that course who are from the UK, from America, from Canada, just talking to other people and getting their ideas and saying, okay, so what are you doing and how are you supporting each other? And then resting back on our cultural, not norms, but resting back on some of the cornerstones, if that makes sense. So things like the law of Mats and the law of Ubuntu, and looking at the laws of Sabre, and just getting some real relief and solace and comfort from that. So that's been good for me. And I have seen it, that it's been good for the people, if that makes sense. So I think at a time like this, we need to be around others as much as we can. This conversation is amazing, case in point. I know Zoom isn't the best medium all the time, and it can be really tiring sometimes, but just to see each other's faces and to laugh and talk and just to feel each other's humanity, I think, and to offer, to give and receive comfort. Gotta sound like I'm waffling now, but yeah, I swear I'm here on my ones, you know, me and my cat in the house. So I've been doing everything to keep sane, to keep my head.
Are you moving like Tom Hanks in Castaway, talking to the ball and all sorts?
Oh yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. Talking to yourself is the first sign of consciousness. He said that to me today. Stop pulling me on that. Listen.
without dragging the conversation back after that beautiful little
I was thinking the same thing. That was a beautiful point.
Yeah, it was a beautiful point, and I'm gonna sound so, but it's just Tuesday Sister Colette mentioned something. I just wanted to bring some clarity on it. When I was saying what I was saying, because I had a little rant before as well. So I was just wanted to say, it weren't that I was suggesting that anyone from the NHS or the doctors are like I don't trust them. It's like what Sister Angeli said. There are people that do things for reasons, and I think I mentioned somewhere down the chain of the line, when the information's given to us, whoever's delivering that, when they amalgamate it, when it's ready for BBC to spew it out, that's somewhere I don't trust that. Do you know what I'm saying? So again, the NHS are doing a brilliant job, always have done a brilliant job. I have to big them up because, you know, both my kids were born there. I go there if I'm sick. So it weren't necessarily that what I was saying. It was more the lack of trust. Just on a global scale, I don't trust these government people. So I just wanted to, sorry to bring the conversation back after that, but
Can I add something as well? It's echoing up a bit. Yeah. Hey, Annie, what did you say?
No, did you want to say something?
Yeah, please. So just to add on to what Luke said and kind of Angeli, where I can't remember what you said, but something based on solutions. So for me, I like to look at the root cause. So I think the way, based on the mistreatment and certain videos of seeing people talking about parents were treated in hospital, it's obvious that they're not being treated fairly. So for me, the simple option is to remove ourselves from the system and get off and not live here. But whilst we are here, I'd say the next best option would be if we had our own private hospitals that cater specifically to our needs. So the way how we could do that is I'm working with an organization called ADPAC. So I'm one of the strategic advisory committee panelists. So Colette is our Manchester lead. Don't know if I could say it, but I've said it anyway, Colette. So free. But yeah, so as part of that, we're working directly with ADI. So that's Dr. Arikano. So that's the African Diaspora Development Institute. All these acronyms and letters. And we're also tapped into the state of African diaspora. So I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but the African Union, they initially had 5 regions, which was North, South, East, West, and Central. But now, officially since 2017, the 6th region is the African diaspora. So the president, Louis George Tin, he's working on creating our own IDs and our own passports. So with these passports, we won't have to have a visa to go to any country in Africa. So it's officially becoming recognized now. So under that guise, we will have our own currency, which will be run through Daryl, who's already presented it to the UN and the African Union. So when that launches, we'll be have our own sovereign citizenship and our own sovereign currency. So once we have those, then we can look at setting up sovereign jurisdictions anywhere in the diaspora. So like how China has Chinatown, the Jews have their community in Prestwich, Asians have Curry Mile. Like, we can look at creating our own sovereign jurisdiction and having our own things which will be needed to govern ourselves. So our own banking systems, our own supermarkets, our own hospitals, our own schools, our own community centres, our own chambers of commerce, all within our community. So this is where I see the solution going. So rather than us being dependent on their system, they're never going to cater to us. They've never got our best interest in heart. So why we keep going to them, begging them? Like, forget that. Let's look at providing for ourselves, creating for ourselves, and setting up our own infrastructures and look after ourselves. Only we can save us. So let's stop looking to them for the answers.
Okay. Well, with that,
can I just say, Anthony, this COVID has made Brother Otis an eloquent speaker, you know. Like a year or two ago, this guy didn't speak or say anything apart from around a round table, but now he's on Zoom, left, right, and center. Just yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Can I just ask Otis, within what you just said, then has this just catapulted it more for you? It's not like you're not saying that this is a new thing, yeah. Because essentially, with us as Black people and health issues, we've always been high. We've always been 4 times more likely to die from cancer. Less likely to catch it, but if we catch it, we get it more aggressive and more likely to die.
More likely
from it.
in every category. So
in everything, even when it's taken away from health, and you look at jail, and you look at education, going to university, always at 4 to 6 against the one. Also, if you go back, not necessarily here in the UK, but America, for the example, in the time of segregation, what was going on there? They had more universities, Black universities at that time than they did in so-called free time. Yeah. So again, there's people that have wanted to do what you're talking about there, with regard to with ADPAC, and you might say there's a lot that's different about ADPAC. I don't know. I'd like to hear that from what has been tried to be done before.
Yeah, we'll bring Dean on the next show, Dean Akai.
Well, what about you? What do you think is different about ADPAC? Okay, you're a young man. Okay, so there may be some things that maybe I've been involved in earlier in the years that you may not be aware of, but as far as you can go back,
What do I think is different?
Yeah.
I feel we're ready now. I feel we're ready, and I feel the continent's ready to have that connection now. So, for example, the other day, Dean was on a live stream with a king from Ghana, and we've cemented the link with him now to where we're going to create a chambers of commerce in Ghana. Myself and Dean will be involved in it. So it's just cementing that link, and that chamber of commerce will open up to other places in Africa. And I just feel like ADPAC's trying to bring all these organizations together under one umbrella. So it's not a case. I feel we've had other organizations working differently on different goals, but if we all work collectively, then we can achieve these things. So if we replicate things that have already been successful, then we can just bring that structure over to us and not be. Yeah, I just feel this now's the time, innit? And I feel ADPAC's the perfect infrastructure to bring everything together. So I've been working behind the scenes and bringing other organizations to be in sync with the same goal and same mission. So I feel like there was a few things I was involved in, and it was all moving towards the same direction, but I feel collectively we'll be more powerful. So I've been bringing people together, certain power heads of certain different organizations, and now I'm just more confident that we can achieve our goal. And especially now, why it's different now is because we've got our own currency. Previously, we've always had to function within their SWIFT system, within their banking system, within their confines. Now we've got our own coin as well as our own Federal Reserve. What Sableassent is something completely different that we've never seen before, and it's the most revolutionary thing that I can say that we've ever had.
Okay, excellent. What the other point that I wanted to point out before we move on, because we have got Daryl. Daryl is in the studio, so we'll go over to Daryl. But the other point that I wanted to make, that sometimes for me doesn't necessarily come up, and some people might say I'm always banding on about history and stuff like that. But when we're talking about these health issues, there needs to be an understanding that it goes back years, hundreds of years, essentially. If you're looking at us as people of African descent that were taken from Africa and brought into the Caribbean, yeah, I remember reading something about cancer medicine, and they had cancer medicines that they tried on people from Africa, and it had positive effects. They tried the same medicines on people from the Caribbean, and it would not work. And the reasons for that was the physiology of the people in the Caribbean due to the change of diet that they had to take through the times of slavery. Yeah, it changed the whole metabolism. So, and these are things that we don't talk about. We don't really go into the depth or don't fully understand as to the impact that it does have on us on our bodies, our DNA. That's a whole physiological change, you know what I mean? And that's the body trying to help those, us, our parents or our grandparents, to survive. So when we're looking at these now and these situations in the sense of 4 times more likely, or the high level of bestiality, and it's just down to putting it down to poverty, and in poverty areas, it's bigger than that, and it's longer than just that alone.
Yeah, it's an accumulation of loads of different variables. So
yeah. Okay. Any last thoughts on that before we go over to Daryl?
no.
No. Now, Otis, I'd like you to do an introduction for Daryl, because obviously, no, listen, listen, because like I said, this is all new. This thing. I did have the advert. You sent it to me, but I don't know how to get it up or whatever. So we want to do Daryl as much justice as we can. So maybe we on the next show or the show after that, we get him on again, and we can, give him the glory that he actually deserves on this on the show. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Throwing it on my toes now. Okay, so I'd like to introduce Daryl Speaks. This is a gentleman I've been working with for the past few months. He's exemplified great leadership skills in managing a corporation of minimum 28 people. I just want to applaud him for bringing this together, this much needed infrastructure in which was required to move our people forward and achieve true sovereign independent freedom. So yeah, thank you for creating this entity, Daryl. It's much appreciated. I don't think people really will value it until they see it in action. So yeah, thank you.
Greetings, Daryl.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Happy, what's today? What is today? Thursday? Yeah, happy Thursday.
Yeah, brilliant.
We don't even know what day it is, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure to have you. Yeah, Luke gave us an introduction there. Could you go a bit more into depth about yourself? I've seen a bit about yourself, very interesting background. Yeah, can you just share with us how you've come to this point of setting up the cryptocurrency and the Sable Coin? Yeah, just give us some background, please.
No worries. I'm born and raised in New York City. I moved to Florida at a very young age of 15 from mom, just really trying to make a good way for us. 2 brothers and a sister. I went to Indian River State College for business in Fort Pierce, Florida, and left there because of not able to make the basketball team. So started businesses after that. After that, I served my community. Civil rights is my heart. I served as NAACP president, which is the National Black Association for the Advancement of Colored People in Martin County, Florida. I marched at the Million Man March. I worked with the ACLU, Urban League, Planned Parenthood, pretty much every organization you could think of to help and serve Black people. That's pretty much my DNA. Sableassent is basically the passion for understanding why hasn't our race evolved in 400 years. So after understanding that there's only, there's really one major reason why we haven't evolved, but there are a lot we can all peg, and you guys have basically shared those. But the one reason why our race has not evolved is because we don't have access to our own capital. We have to consistently over the years beg, borrow, and steal, and ask the Europeans for access to capital. And that's the bottom line. We have mental health conditions that limit our economic abilities to grow business and things of that nature, and to move out of poverty. But at the end of the day, we don't have access to capital, and there's no vehicle available to create it. I mean, we can't go print money, right? That's not even possible. So using the latest advancements in technology, we've been able to facilitate a team of some of the greatest minds to bring about a technology that will allow for us to deploy a currency across the entire diaspora. And humbly speaking, we can literally pull the entire race out of poverty with this technology. So that's where it's at, man. And I'm just happy that people are here, and you guys are going to be able to live this, because there hasn't been a human at all that hasn't even come close to this technology. I'm just happy that God put it on me at the end of the day.
Right, Daryl, there's the Sable Coin then, yeah? Because people have heard about the cryptocurrency. Is a blockchain a different thing to currency?
Absolutely. I don't like when I'm talking to my people, I really like to try to be just cool and really just talk like we family. I just keep it real with everybody. Notice to tell you that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the currency and the technology are two different things. So when you talk about, the technology, you're talking about the blockchain technology, which is, if you can remember, when you're a kid having a race car, right? And you got the tracks. Well, that's the technology of blockchain. And then the cars themselves, they're the currency. Okay. So there's over 6,000 currencies in existence. That's per CoinMarketCap, the leader in digital currency evaluations, which includes exchanges and wallets and different currencies. Sableassent is the only currency on the planet that has only one focus and one intention, and that's to empower Black people, to bring us together on one accord to create one world currency for the Black economy. Well, we are already partnered to create other Black currencies. That's part of the goal, but the goal is to create one that can all be on one accord. And here's why. In the continent of Africa alone, you have 54 countries and 46 currencies. So it's virtually impossible under their present organizational structure for them to interact with intercontinental trade. It's just not possible. That's like if the United States with 52 states had 50 or 40 currencies. We would not be able to facilitate the democratized system that we're in today. So we're basically taking an existing technology of blockchain and putting a movable unit of exchange across it and focusing it only on us. So we have no issues with the need for currency exchange in order to build our ecosystems. And my favorite thing is to create everything that we consume. So we can consume it, we need to own it and create a whole new industrial age. That's the bottom line.
Brilliant. Any questions, guys, at the moment?
Yes, brother. Yes, brother. You know, I've got a question there. Big up yourself. Yeah, I'm good.
Big ups.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for blessing the platform as well, Daryl. Brother Otis has mentioned a lot about the project that you got going on. One question I do have, because I'm not up to speed with the cryptocurrency and stuff like that, for it to work, like you mentioned about the consumerism, for it to work, would you need businesses to sign up or be a part of it for us to be able to spend this currency? Because obviously competing against the dollar and the sterling pound, I don't like to use that word compete when we're talking about it, because then it brings it to some sort of, it brings it to a different level. But how would it be put out globally for everyone like myself to be able to enjoy the benefits of it?
Absolutely. Well, one thing we need to understand, and I said this at a talk at a local school, is we really need to stop and understand what digital currency really is. Okay, just stop it for a second. At the end of the day, it's simply a means of exchange of value, digital numbers, just like the currency that you're using on your debit card. So here's the thing, guys. Visa, MasterCard, and Discover are great companies, but they don't make currency. Their model is remittance services. So they make money by collecting fees for the transfer of value. They don't hold any money. They don't make any money. They just move it from person to person. And because they do that very, very well through the SWIFT system, which is the banking system out of England, they're able to make profits in the billions of dollars. But they don't give any of it to our communities. Matter of fact, they don't even care. So I laugh so much because the understanding how the money really works, when you really start to understand it, you really see that it's just time right now. So hope that answers your question.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Angeli?
It did and it didn't, in the sense of if we're speaking to the and again, I don't like doing this, but we're speaking to the layman and to obviously the levels of technology you've obviously studied probably, and the people that you've got around you have studied. But I'm talking about for someone like myself, then, who I'm going to call the layman in this particular field. For something, what you're saying is going to help Black people get out of poverty. Is there a more simplified way, or not even a simplified way, of something that we can grasp onto to say, right, this is what we have to do to be able to do that, like to jump on into even a way of how we can support you to be able to get this going, if that makes sense? I don't know if I'm delivering the question right.
That's okay. We're really having a great conversation.
Brilliant.
So here's the thing. Digital currencies is all about association and pegging to the community. So Sableassent has positioned the Sable Coin S1 to be pegged to all Black products and services. So to answer your question, no, you do not have to be acceptant of it initially, because we have many companies that they are paying their staff upon launch in the same currency. And the reason why they're doing this is because it has what's called liquidity, and liquidity in 170 currencies. So how does that work? Well, in the fintech world, what happens is this, again, the SWIFT system still controls the ability to change the digital numbers in digital currencies. Was a 35-unit hash of letters and numbers. And you turn that number through their systems into the currency world, or the fiat world, cash world, right? So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you have a wallet. It doesn't matter where it is. The SWIFT system exists because it goes through the internet, okay? So everyone, you're basically in the system, whether you like it or not. It's whether you engage or you peg yourself and your products and services to the system. So if you're a consultant and you say, well, wow, you know, I'm in Europe, or I'm in South Africa, or I'm in Jamaica, right? And I choose to accept this currency as a currency of my own for my consulting services. Or maybe I'm a building contractor, maybe I'm even a doctor. But what happened is you would be easily have access to accept the currency and have your business model on the global ecosystem. And now you'll have an API, again, a SWIFT transactional model that would turn your digital currencies into fiat currencies wherever you are. It doesn't matter where you are. It happens through the internet. Okay.
Daryl, can I just ask you, you said it will change it from digital currency to what kind of currency?
It doesn't matter what currencies. Visa, MasterCard transacts in 210 countries, right? So through the SWIFT system, what happens is they have relationships, what's called a money transfers license. That's what banks have. Banks don't make money. They get their money and have to ask for it from the reserve system and the IMF, right? So if we know this, if we know that they have to ask for the money, right? They have to show debt to support their repayment. That's how it works. So they get a license. They have to pay for it in order to move it to different currencies. Now, the other side of it is that every country won't allow you to move their currency, right? So in blockchain technology, you don't need to ask for approval because it already works via the internet. It's pretty much an email. Bitcoin is an email. Right? That's all it is, guys. It's an email with letters and numbers. All cryptocurrencies are an email. That's layman's terms. It's an email with letters and numbers that you can send to anyone, anywhere, on any device. But none of these currencies are solely focusing on empowering and in building Black people. That's it.
Sorry, Angel. Sorry.
No, make me ask my question. No. I've got three. So the way my brain works is it's quite sequential. I like to see things also visually. I'm a visual learner. For me, when you talk about we need to understand what is digital currency, the first thing that came to me is because of my background as a youth and community worker, working with young people in particular, children, is what type of education would you be putting out there, or would you be putting forward in order, particularly for the next generation, to understand it, if it's going to be something that's going to be part of our legacies, if that makes sense. Also, just for the layman, i.e. myself, to understand it. And then the second part of that would be timescales. You know, I know that Otis spoke about a launch coming up, but just in terms of timescales, what would that look like? And then the third thing is, what would a daily exchange of this currency look like? Give us an actual example, an analogy, if that makes sense. You say it's an email. Okay, so I don't know. I send an email to Luke. So he's like, right, okay, I've got this car. I don't know. And I say, right, boom, I'm going to send you an email. Is that how easy it is? Can you break that down a bit more, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's pretty easy to do. What was the first question? I got the time and I got the exchange.
So the first one was about the education of it. So you were saying, what is digital currency? People need to understand what it is. So there needs to be some type of education. So that resonated with me because I work with children and young people, but also me as a fully grown woman still don't understand. I'd love to see it sequentially or visually to be able to say, aha, that's what it looks like. And I even looked over the document that Brother O sent me, and it was long. So, you know, not everybody is ready, willing, or able to sit down and read that, or sometimes, or even take it in and ingest that. And you know, some people need to see it or physically. So, yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Well, good to see you, sister. Good to see you.
Cool.
Okay, so it's real easy. The basically adoption and relationship to non-for-profit agencies, again, it's a simple transfer of service. So your service needs, and it's all based on the service. So your service needs donations, which relies on government entities and grants to keep it sustainable. That's what you do. You have to consistently ask, borrow, and beg for money to keep your program going, or rely on foundations to give you access to capital. That's pretty much what it is. So again, you know, the currency again is positioned through its system to provide donations, and it's actually part of the ecosystem. So it's a part of the corporate profits, which is a really good thing, which are automated based on the wallet size. And I can give you that and those numbers too. The next comer is time. The technology is done. It's just going through some fine tuning. So literally, it'll be available on exchanges starting the end of this month, the beginning of the first of the month. It'll be available in exchanges. You'll start to see some marketing being put out there in different places. We have a lot of marketing. Otis can share a lot of it with you. So it's readily available. And then we'll be launching across 20 global exchanges. They're all on coinmarketcap.com if you want to take that website down. And they're all top 50 exchanges. What that means is all of the exchanges that we list with only move at least $1 billion in currency every single day. Okay, that's our minimum requirement. Okay, and they have to have a reach to be able to connect with investors or adoptional people to adopt the currency in the wallet system. And the last question is the exchange. Well, the exchange happens a variety of ways. Okay. Number one is you'll have what's called the SAC wallet, which basically allows a person, anyone can download. You don't have to be Black to download, but you do have to be a 51% Black-owned business in order to have your business listed to exchange the currency within the ecosystem. Okay, it works through an ID system, through social media engagement and artificial intelligence in order to validate that your business is Black-owned. If it is not, it will decline your entry. And this is how the system works. This is how it was written to work. So I hope I answered your questions for you.
Yeah, Luke, you had a question before. Do you want to come back with that?
That was a lot.
Oh, no problem. I'm here to help. I'm a servant. I just came up with the idea, trying to make sure that we execute and really do what we need to do for our people at the end of the day.
Okay. Daryl, can you just remind us of your launch date?
Yeah, right now we're looking at the 28th of May. So the good news is we'll have a countdown on our calendar once we've gotten the bugs worked out. So that's the funny thing about technology. It's always something. So once we get the bugs worked out, we'll put a time clock on the website, and then we have a few early adopters, which Otis has participated in that. And then what we'll do is we'll be able to send those wallets to those individuals. But we're getting businesses that are loading up every single day. So we're getting new businesses every single day that are coming to be partnerships and basically to exchange the currency for their products. That's happening every day. Every day.
Can I ask something? Oh, sorry.
Well, yeah, you can in a minute. Daryl, what's the if any questions haven't been answered here, question asked this evening, what are some of the most questions that you have been being asked when you've gone and spoke to people?
The number one question I get is why is it only focused for Black people? That's the number one question that I get. Yeah. And I usually say, if you have to ask that question, that's why we need this currency. Wow. That's my answer to that question. If you're asking me that question, because everything that gets built, in my opinion, it has to solve a problem, right? I don't care what it is. Every product, every service, everything that exists that's new and it's developed by anybody, including you guys on this line, is meant to solve a problem. So Sableassent solves 3 major problems. And here's what they are. They're on the presentation too, Dean. Otis can send it with you. Number 1, it solves the problem with the lack of capital in our Black communities. Okay. Less than 1/2 of 1% of any dollar from any VC, I call them so-called angel investors, so-called venture capitalists, they have all this trillions of dollars pegged, right? Pegged meaning associated, but they don't give it to Black-owned companies or founders or CEOs. They just don't do it, right? Number 2, the Black community has the lowest level of currency circulation. So first and foremost, we don't have the capital because they're not giving us any capital. And second of all, we don't have the circulation. So our circulation of our capital, the little bit that we do have, is not moving from business to business. It's just not happening because we have too many options, aka segregation. So because we have all these options, we feel like there's not even a need to do business with another brother because we feel we can get it cheaper from the Chinaman. Right? I've never seen a Chinese man in a soul food restaurant. You're not going to see it, right? So that's number 2. Number 3 is education, right? We have the most tech savvy people, most tech savvy Black people, right? But they don't have the capital or the resources to use and maximize on their ideas. So we got all these ideas, but we don't have access to the capital to make these ideas come to fruition. How in the world can we possibly pull ourselves out of our present state? All these brilliant Black women that got ideas, all these young Black children that got ideas, but they can't manifest them because we don't have the resources.
Yeah.
So we have to create our own. We have to create our own. Yes, sir.
One last question from me, and then you, Luke. You mentioned education there, Daryl.
Absolutely.
And because this happens to me, I've just put it straight out there. When mathematics, economics, and things come and people start having that conversation with me, my head goes skew. If that's probably me cursing myself, because I'd say to my children, don't say you can't do it. Give it a try.
Give it a try, man.
But it's a common thing amongst, I know people that I grew up with, oh, I can't do maths, or I can't do sums, you know. So that's another barrier. It's like to be able to need to break down. Because I was asking Otis before about what's different about another project that he's doing, and he was saying it's the right time. Are you finding that there is a difference in, like, say, how elder people are responding to you as opposed to younger people? And when I say younger,
no, you're 100% right. The Global Tech and Education Tour, I was supposed to actually be in Ghana by now, but it didn't happen. We already put in place a global education and tech tour, which I was asked and was going to be paid for to do by the United Nations to train Black communities and underserved communities on emerging technologies. And what we found out is this: you have 3 levels of potential and need for education. You have our children from 8 to 18 who need the education. You have the kids from 18 to 35 who just need to be brushed up or brought up to speed on what's happening. And then you have our educated folks from 35 to 65 who need to be re-educated on emerging technologies. They're already smart, right? Or they think they think they know everything. So because we understand we have 3 types of folks in our community, we need to have an educational program that can address all three numbers. So basically, it can cover our whole age demographic, all of them, from 18 to 85, through the youth, the millennials, and the elderly. So we have what's called an each one teach one strategy, one band, one sound, on teaching on emerging technologies, which include STEAM revolution, AI, drones, blockchain technologies, cryptocurrencies, leadership skills, mental health, financial education and financial literacy, leadership, sales, marketing. I'm missing one here. Mental health. I feel that's my top priority, is to help our people with mental health issues and why they can't get out of their present financial state, especially in really impoverished villages that I've been to in Haiti and Jamaica, to where the people have the skills, they just don't have the mental strength to pull themselves out. So those are just some of the things that the Global Tech and Education Tour is going to do. That's actually going to be going on starting the 20th. So they're going to do the first tour, and you guys are welcome to participate. Just get with Otis or Mr. Oliver, and they can put you guys on the roster.
Okay, thank you, Luke.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I think you answered the in terms of the educational question. I think that was answered well. I think that maybe that was what Angeli was sort of alluding to before. That was what I was going to answer, and you actually answered it through answering Brother Anthony. So thank you for that, bringing a bit more clarity on the educational side of it. Yeah. The bit I'm sort of struggling to comprehend is I've got 1,000 of the coin right now, yeah, hypothetically speaking. I've got 1,000 of them, and I want to buy, I want to buy my shopping, my groceries, as you may call it. I want to buy my shopping tomorrow. How do I go to my local Tesco, Sainsbury's, or wherever? Can I then, that's what I'm trying to work out. How do I spend my coin? What other shops are accepting coin? Like globally, locally, how do we get to that stage?
It's already there. Inside the wallet, there's a debit card system. I think I mentioned it. The debit card system that transacts the digital currency in the fintech world to the fiat cash world. It's done automatically. You'll already have a debit card system, or you can upload your present system that you have with your present bank to turn your cryptocurrencies into cash.
With it being, sorry, say that again, sister. Sorry.
I think you were alluding to, and what I'd like to see, and it will probably become clear when this launch happens, is will there be a list of these particularly 51% Black-owned businesses that we can approach and say, right, I'd like to buy your goods, or vice versa. That is what I'd like to see, but also the point that Luke was discussing about how do we convert the actual currency into what we call fiat currency. So yeah, but you've answered that. So yeah.
Yeah, the liquidity was one of the top priorities. The actual businesses, that wasn't even an actual concern. Be honest with you, we've already solidified agreements with the National Black Chamber, which has 1 million Black businesses, so they're already on board. We also have partnerships with WeBuyBlack.com, the largest Black marketplace. So just with those two alone, we cover half of the globe. Not to mention, I think Otis mentioned the EU, and there's so many others. I can go on. We can go on, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Use cases and things like that. But the adoption is the easy part. The hardest part is making sure that we deploy. This is the hardest part. The hardest part is deploying a safe product, because we know we're under attack. The adoption is not going to be hard. All that stuff is easy. We're not really worried about people whether they're going to do it or not. You're either going to do it directly or indirectly, one way or the other, because you're going to go and see what's out there. And you're going to wait a minute. We already have an ecosystem. Why am I not doing this? I talked this in one group. I said this in one talk. I said, if you are a Black human on this planet and you don't see this, you need to get your head shrinked. I said that publicly, and I quote to say it again, because you're not making any sense if you don't see the value in this ecosystem.
Can I add something as well? I think Luke and Angel, one of the questions earlier might have not got answered, but it's an actual app that you download. So the wallet is an app which can be downloaded on Android and iOS. So that's where the exchange takes place. So that's when he's saying that he's working out the bugs. That's what will be ready to launch. And the app will be connected to our debit card, which is Visa. So then, like if you have your card and you travel to another country and you can use your Visa in other countries, it'll be like that exact same type of thing. Also, Daryl didn't mention that 2% of the yearly profits go towards not-for-profit organizations and building infrastructure such as schools, hospitals, etc. Go on, Luke.
Sorry.
On mute, Luke.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, just building on to that. Say I was an employer. Could I then pay my employees? Obviously, if they agree to it, can I pay my employees with this currency as well? Mm-hmm. So I set my business up as that. So that's how I pay my employees.
Absolutely. See, the beauty of the system is the liquidity component. Like you can pay your employees today with any cryptocurrency you desire. It doesn't really matter. I can send you API or application program interfaces that you can link to your present website, and you can pay your employees today. But the end of the day is does it assist in the building of your people? Will it assist in preventing issues and help grow our ecosystem? But yeah, that's already been those processes through BitPay have already been implemented. They're already here, where you can pay in cryptocurrencies. That's been done a long time ago. But yeah,
another thing to add as well, I wanted to say was in regards to the pegging, just in case you might not understood it. So like the dollar is kind of like a receipt for what's supposed to be the Fort Knox, the Federal Reserve. So instead of us exchanging actual gold bars, the dollar's supposed to be the note's supposed to be like a currency that we exchange instead of having to chop pieces of gold up. So that's what that's backed by. So our digital currency is pegged to actual assets such as gold, diamonds, land, just all sorts of infrastructure and assets that we own. So that's what validates the actual currency. So I just wanted to add that in to give you further understanding as well.
Yeah. We've taken the time to, this has been about 3 years. The company started October 17th, 2017. So in this time, we've been really traveling many countries, hard situations, but yeah, it's worth it. It really is worth it for what we've been through. I studied Marcus Garvey, I studied Malcolm X, I studied African leaders, and I realized what they were all missing. And the one thing they were missing was the latest technologies and their own currency. That's what they were missing. And that's where we are today. So there's no reason why we can't. There's no reason why we can't do what we need to do.
Yeah.
All of us.
As soon as we produce everything we consume, it's a wrap.
Yeah. that's amazing. The industrial age is what pulled China. They pulled 800 million from poverty to the working middle class. They did that by producing all the things that not only that they consume, but everything that we consume. Right. So they sell us everything. We see it every day. That's why Alibaba is one of the #1 sites, because it's a site for manufacturers to sell their products and services. So right now I'm working to manufacture cell phones with the Mora, laptop computers. We have every resource you can think of in the Congo, oil, diamonds, that's already there, anything, cobalt, magnesium, copper, steel. We have manufacturers where you can use it to buy a home, legal. It doesn't really matter what the service is. There's already a Black-owned business that's already associated in one way, shape, or form.
And what has the response been, Daryl? Because I've seen an image of you in Jamaica with a banner, and I think it said Jamaican Currency Exchange. What has been the response to them?
Yeah, they're ready for us to list. They wanted the check to list it on the exchange. All they want is a check. So the Jamaican Stock Exchange is worth $6 trillion. So they want to list the ecosystem on the exchange to get access, or they basically want a percentage of the company. That's all it is. So they're ready for us to list. I told them we'll come back to them in 2021 after we've gotten some traction in the countries.
Excellent. Okay. Listen, so just remind us again. Sorry, go on, Colette.
I did have my hand up. But
hey, Ms. Williams.
I hear what you're saying, Daryl. Yeah, in terms of the outcomes, what the vision is, what the goals are, and resolving problems and issues, and the Black economy and the importance of that, and so forth. But I can't get my head wrapped around what blockchain is and cryptocurrency is and how it works and how you obtain it and so forth. I'm just saying that now.
That's beautiful. And the beautiful thing is I'm happy that you have those concerns. We're excited to be able to work with you to help you in the learning curve. Okay. One thing that I understand is and a lot of the young guys can probably attest to this. We're so used to taking money and throwing it in the air and showing stacks of hundreds. We forget that currency, or money for that matter, is really a digital store of numbers. Right? That's all it is. I mean, I don't carry a stack of money around, but I got money in the bank. Right? A lot of us have money in the bank, but we don't carry a bunch of cash around because it's not feasible, right? And it's not really safe. So to wrap your head around it is really simple. Just pulling your brain away from the fact that money is tangible. Because in reality, it really isn't. They can print as much as they want, but it's really a digital store of numbers. And all the money is basically storing your products, your services, whatever you do, Ms. Williams, for someone else's product or someone else's service. Or, or giving your store numbers to your landlord, or to your mortgage company, or to your car dealer. You're just giving them numbers. You're just transferring them numbers, and they're giving you a product. But you see, we're just programmed. So we have to change, just like we went from a beeper to a cell phone, or we went from paper to plastic. It's all a learning curve. It's all a learning curve, and that's what we're excited to be part of that process, and we're proud and excited to be the leaders, and humble enough. That's the key. We're humble enough to each one and teach one, and as Black people to come together at all levels. And I even talk to my haters that way. I said, listen, I love the fact that you're a Black leader, but you really you need to, they have the gates of the plantation open. You just got to step out. right? We know you got that great government job. I get it. You know, you're a teacher or you're a lawyer and you think you're safe, but you're not. So, you know, the end of the day is owning our own currency is the right thing to do. And my core focus is making sure that it comes out safe and it comes out the right way. That's my core focus, because we already have 8 out of 10 that already approve of this system in our global travels. So
I think that came up before, Daryl, in the conversation when we was talking about COVID and a lot of the issues that get pushed out there and how people question and respond and are skeptical and stuff. The big word was about trust. How is that for you? Because they always say that about Black people or people of African descent. We don't trust each other. We can't get on with each other. We're crabs in a barrel. You know, we're 6 people here. We're all getting on. We know it can happen. That is another stereotype that we take on within our minds and bring it out into action. So what is it that you say to people when they are saying, how can I trust you?
I really haven't gotten that question too much, to be honest with you. That's not a question that I get. I am very pro regulation. What I mean is I embrace regulation. So, you know, I understand that the Europeans regulate to control. So I'll give them what you want. I'll give you whatever, you know, KYC or know your customer or AML or whatever other regulatory body you want to hold us under. We'll do that. And that's just basically just transparency. It's basically just showing what you're doing and who you are. The beauty of it is they can't stop the technology. So you can be as you know, you can put as much regulation as you want to, but you can't stop the fact that technology says, not Daryl Speaks, technology says that what we can do to empower Black people and build our own currency it can be done, but it only takes transparency and an ability to allow for yourself and your systems to be verified through the necessary regulatory bodies, and that's it. And I have enough smart staff and teams, not me. I have enough smart team around me to be able to know what those regulations are in all the countries. And that's what we've done. We basically put the smartest minds, not me, the smartest minds, economists, financial. We have 2 lawyers. One's an SEC lawyer, one's a business lawyer. So we have a lot of smart people, and we are a 100% Black-owned company, and we will remain a 100% Black-owned company. So that's been the success. Is you know, I study Marcus Garvey, and the only bad thing is about that brother, he did not listen because he was fearful of infiltration, and he had the right to be, because that's exactly what happened. But the beauty of it is the fact that as long as you're willing to trust the fact that you're transparent in your business, it'll be fine, because the regulators, although that is a way that people can know that you're trustworthy, because you're willing to not do the wrong thing, right? If you're willing to be regulated, you're not going to do the wrong thing because you're fearful of what's going to happen. That's exactly what it is. I'm not fearful, but I know that I'm honest enough, and I'm willing to build something for my people that's needed, because the technology says that it's possible, and I'm willing to step out on faith and put my neck out on faith to know that it will happen, and that's where we're at.
Just to add to that, Daryl, you were saying that I think it's 95% of other cryptocurrencies aren't regulated, but Sableassent is in that.
Yeah, it's actually higher than that, Otis, because they choose to live in the dark world, right? They want to be, what they say, anonymous. Well, anonymous is great, but it's not going to assist in mass adoption, right? So we encourage and look forward to all the regulatory bodies and jumping on board to literally say, okay, you want to see the books? No big deal. It's not that serious. But we do know is that when we have our own currency, we can do what we choose to do, and that's what we're doing right now.
Brilliant. I think I asked that question already, didn't I, about the launch and when we can get on board. But to find out information at the moment, where's the best place to go, Daryl?
Yeah, there's tons of places. I'm very easy. We're on all the social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My favorite is LinkedIn. We've got everything you could think of. You know, we're very easy accessible for now, and until we go. We can share with you. You know, we have tons of documentations, white papers, presentations. I've spoken to maybe a dozen different major organizations about it. So there's some YouTube available for you. But we're very open people, and we're excited because we know what's serving us. So we have to really be transparent and share everything that's going on. So like you said, Miss Williams, people will understand what this is all about and where the world is going. People need to understand where the world is going, because it is going digital, whether you believe it or not. That's where it's going.
I just wanted to add as well, can anyone who's listening who owns a black business, can they register on the website, which is Sableassent.com?
Yeah. There's no cost. We're not a chamber, although we have partnerships with all the major chambers. And like Otis said, yes, they do want us to participate with a black chamber in Ghana, and we will do that. And then and the goal is to provide funding. We want to be able to fund as many black entrepreneurs as possible. That's the goal. If you got an idea, we need to know what that is. If you're going to create jobs, we need to know how that works. If you need us to build you some technology, we need to assist you in that process. Reach out a hand to pull up. That's what it's about.
Also, Daryl, do you want to touch on the API and the escrow as well, which will be coming on? Can't speak about that yet.
Oh yeah, I think that's a good question. The API, the escrow is more important. That's even better. That answers the gentleman's question about the trust factor. We created a blockchain-based system that allows for us to trust people anywhere in the world. So what it will happen is you'll be able to put your currency in escrow. And if, say, for instance, you're trying to buy a watch in South Africa, but you don't trust the guy sending it, well, he has to provide all of the necessary documents in order to verify that the product is there, and he has to provide the shipping information and all pictures. After the product has arrived and it's been verified, then the funds will be released. So it builds trust across all borders and all continents. So we've created that system, which will also be included into the wallet system.
And also touch on the percentage being lower than PayPal in regards to the API.
Oh yeah. Because we are a remittance provider, my financial advisors think I'm fucking crazy. Excuse my French, but I don't care. I said I need you to make the fees lower than all of the global remittance providers. So I made the fees lower than PayPal, lower than Cash App, lower than Square, and so that we can make sure that people are transacting, and more importantly, make sure that people are using it, right? Well, it's no good to have a currency that we need if I already know that Western Union is charging you between 8 and 20%. I also know that PayPal is charging you between 5 and 20%. I know these numbers. So if we charge in 1.2, 1.9, we can still make profit to sustain operations. And more importantly, we can touch people in those little villages and little towns that need help.
Excellent. Hold on, go on, Luke.
Have you got everything that you said 100% bang on, and just to promote it more, I guess, and just to get it out there to the relevant businesses. One of my things is, how much is it worth? So one coin being worth, like the exchange rates. Mm-hmm. Is there? I think you may have mentioned it previously. Can you elaborate maybe on some of the exchange rates on how much it's worth? Yeah. Could you talk to that about?
Okay, yeah. The initial the launch value will be 45 cents. But that will be once we launch the first of the month. Right now we're in what's called a family and friends raise. So to raise enough for technologies and other things. I may be cut off, guys. Uh-oh.
Okay. So you say you gotta go.
Dang it.
Yeah, we got that, didn't we? Can you not hear us, Daryl?
I think someone's tried to phone him. This is what usually happens when I'm on the phone.
Okay. All right. So is he stuck now?
What did you ask, Luke? Sorry, I remember this answer.
I was trying to ask like the exchange rate. So like a pound worth $1.8 or whatever.
Yeah, I can answer. Do you want me?
Yeah. Sorry.
So yeah, the exchange is muted.
Go on.
Yeah.
Can you mute Luke? Oh, I'll mute him.
Yeah. So currently the coins are worth 45 cents per coin, but at the moment we are able to get at a reduced rate based on early adoption. So paying for the coins before they go to market. So this will stop from the 28th. So we can purchase coins at 36 cents per coin, but it needs to be a minimum of 1,000 coins. So you can purchase 1,000 coins for $360. It's also offering certain early adopters, if they invest a minimum of $1,000, he'll gift you 1 share per $100. So you get 10 shares for $1,000 of investment, which some people have done. So when the company goes to IPO in 2 years, then that's when you'll get value on your share. So currently the company is valued at 90 million. So for those who are unsure how this might work and how you can benefit as an early adopter, so it's not being pitched as an investment, but for example, comparing it to Bitcoin. So say a year after Bitcoin was launched, 1 Bitcoin was worth 0.08 pence. So currently now, when I last checked, I think a Bitcoin was worth about £7,000. So if you had $100 worth of Bitcoin back then, you was just a multi-millionaire now if you just kept hold of those Bitcoins. So that's how come you probably might have seen people speaking about loads of overnight millionaires within Bitcoin, and that's because they was early adopters in purchasing the Bitcoin. So the value of the Bitcoin increases with the amount of people who are using the coins. So because we're early adopters with Sableassent, the more people that adopt the market, which is spoke of, such as We Buy Black and the Black Business Chambers of Commerce with over 1 million businesses, when they all adopt this product, then the value of it is going to increase substantially. So our value in the coin will make a profit on what our investment was. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go on, Luke.
It's because you kept muting me, then I kept muting you. It was just one of them. But I think the way how it's delivered, again, we was talking about the trust and stuff like that, because obviously it makes sense when it's explained in the manner that you've explained it and how Daryl's explained it. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. But then it's combating that trust level that you spoke about before. And then when Daryl was talking about the having all the paperwork, my mind went straight to you, Sister Angeli, about being transparent and having all the right documentation in place. Just small example about, early doors with T.A.P and some money was going to get handed over, and you was like, no, like it needs to be done properly before we. So that level of the transparency is good, but it's just how it's then, I think how it's delivered to us. When I say us as a community, for it to take. For it to go.
What I will say is, if you'll mute you. What I will say is, I think it's just a case of us becoming more educated within blockchains and these new emerging technologies, because it's on a decentralized platform. So that's the transparency in itself, that is on the blockchain. He's gone through all the necessary paperwork. They're only in the top percentile in regards to regulated cryptocurrency organizations. So everything's above board. They're governed by the SEC, the Secured Economies. I can't remember what it stands for, but they're like the top officiating body in America in regards to financing, monitoring finances of organizations. I don't know if you've seen, like, with Elon Musk getting in trouble with the SEC over tweets and certain stuff. So they're like the top people. But yeah, I don't know what more to say. This is the solution. This is what will set us free. Everyone just needs to jump on board. And I feel more of us, I feel it's just a lack of education and understanding. So once more people understand what this is, then they'll jump on board and get it going.
You know me, I'm not really on this technology thing as I should be, yeah. But why I like this one as a solution in terms for Black people is because we all consume anyway. We do that daily to survive, innit? And with this one, you can still be a Muslim, you can still be a Christian, you can still be all the labels that we come under as Black people or African or Caribbean people, whatever label you want to put yourself under. But this is something that can sort of unify. I was having a conversation with one of the WhatsApp groups, and I was sort of saying Black people are not going to unite how we see this sort of utopian, or how we want this utopian sort of unification. However, with something like this Bitcoin, like this coin, then it's something that sort of transcends all of that, because we all have to, money have to make, and we all have to spend money and all of that sort of good stuff. So I like it. And again, I just think it's how it's promoted, delivered, and administered to the people. And like Angeli mentioned about time, for it not to just think, right, I've invested, I'm going to get rich tomorrow. It's a process, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
So,
well thought through. Yeah, it's well thought through.
You stop telling me to hit mute. I'll hit mute, bro.
Whatever. Anyway, yes, I think it's well thought through in regards to the strategy. You just have to. Obviously, I'm on the inside, so I'm seeing all the ins and outs of everything that's going on, and it's well detailed. There's a massive team dealing from multiple different departments. Like I'm in the conversations every day and seeing the developments that's taking place, and yeah, it's exciting just to see it be on the inside and see it all come to fruition. So yeah,
I'd definitely like to look much more into it and have another discussion once I know.
Colette's got more.
Do you know what I found quite refreshing and reassuring about that conversation was when you, Anthony, when you asked him about, the whole thing about trust and, people getting to trust what he's talking about and the Sableassent, was that in his response, he didn't talk about us as Black people saying that we don't trust it. He talked about the regulation and the authorities not trusting it and having to have that accountability and everything written down. And I think that was really reassuring, that those questions about, sure, he's not going to run off with the money and blah, blah, blah. Those kind of conversations haven't been had around this. And for me, that is really reassuring.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, listen, time is really running, guys. So I'll bring this section to a close, and then I know, Angeli, you've got a few comments or notes, sis? You haven't now. You're on mute. Can't hear you.
I said, no, it's too late. Me not do it no more.
Right.
I'm only joking. No, seriously, I do need to read these, don't I? And then on top of that, we didn't even touch upon our third topic, but if I can potentially just read these out. Did you manage to get them visually, or are we just going to work with?
Well, I tried it, but when I tried to have a look at it, it just didn't. It wasn't legible. You can confirm that for me, can't you, Otis?
Anyway, so basically some of the work that TAP are doing and some of the work that I'm doing individually with other organisations, two of note. One is Northern Police Monitoring Project, which is an organisation, volunteer-led organisation that aims to educate, empower and organise. I must also give a shout out to Colette Williams in the room, one of the original founders, alongside Deka and Zeribe. And basically they work to challenge police violence or state violence around Black and brown bodies. Some of their work is extended a bit further, but ultimately that's their main aim. Clearly, they're very much interested in what transpired last weekend with the gentleman who was tasered. It's something that's very close to my heart, having a family member who was killed by the police in 2017 and still fighting that battle politically, emotionally, psychologically and spiritually. So basically, when we were coming on the show, I had a chat with them and said, can we get a bit of a statement? So they sent a statement, which I'm going to read. Basically, they're saying, right now we are witnessing unprecedented police powers sweeping the nation in the wake of COVID-19. Northern Police Monitoring Project is an independent grassroots organisation committed to holding the police to account in these challenging times. We are monitoring the situation carefully and logging incidents in and around Manchester and are offering support to those affected. We are deeply disturbed at the increased abuse of police powers. Only a few days ago, we mobilised against the use of a police taser on a Black man in Stratford. The man was tasered by a GMP officer in front of his child, which we believe is totally unacceptable. We are also campaigning more broadly against police in schools and continue to work with local community and partner organisations to challenge police brutality and racism. We will continue to fight state violence in all of its manifestations and thank the community for their support. Please contact us if you have been affected by any of these issues, and you can email us at who polices the police, WHO polices the police, all one word, lowercase, at gmail.com. You can go to the website www.npmp.co.uk, and they're also on Twitter as well at npolicemonitor, if that makes sense. So that's from Northern Monitoring Police Project. We've also got a statement from, do you want to talk about that or touch upon any?
No, go ahead.
Wait, I need a drink. I'm talking too much. Let me wait. So we're also working with their strategic partners, Caribbean African Health Network. They were established the same year and month that we were established. They're doing some amazing work in Manchester, Greater Manchester, and also nationally. They have been responsible for pulling together an emergency community response by some Zoom meetings that started a few weeks ago, with up to 70 different organisations or individuals within those meetings. From there, there's been various TV interviews, various statements, etc., etc. And they've sent a statement through as well. It's lengthy, so forgive me. I'm just going to pick out the important parts, or the parts that I think are relevant. Caribbean African Health Network is actively pursuing the agenda to address health inequalities, influence policy and practice across Greater Manchester. Over the last 8 weeks, CAN has been ensuring that the community receives evidence-based information from professionals about health and the way in which we, as a community, can be prepared to fight coronavirus now and other health conditions. We've been facilitating and coordinating a collective community forum. Here's the voices of community organisations and influencers with regards to what people are doing in response to COVID-19. Very keen to hear what the Black community feel. There is a survey that you can complete. What else is there? There's some 2-hour meetings that they're having on Zoom every Friday at 1 o'clock. You can go onto their website page, or you can go onto their Facebook. I believe they're on Twitter as well, to find out about the details of that Zoom meeting, where you can just log in and get some information. Tomorrow's Zoom meeting, we should have Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Manchester, who will be talking particularly around the incident with the gentleman who was tasered last weekend. Also, hopefully there will be representation from the Independent Office of Police Conduct. Who else have they got? They've got some representatives from the Northern Care Alliance and the Black Caribbean Northern Care Alliance, and a few others. They also have a few support groups going on for single mothers, Afrobeats and Reggae Bash on a Friday, Health Hour for some of our elders, which my mum took part in a bit last week and she really enjoyed it. What else? There's so much more. So basically, if you want any more information, go to www.cahn.org.uk, Caribbean African Health Network. Now is the time to work collectively, regardless of our individual perceptions and such. We need to work collectively if we're going to get out of this as healthy and as heightened as we can be.
Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you very much for that. Listen, 1:15 now, time to wrap up. As a first go,
we did all right.
Did not too bad. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Any last points before we lock down?
It's on YouTube as well, aren't you?
Yeah. It's on both. Well, it should be. They're both ticked on this screen here. So, yeah.
I feel honoured that it was the first that I was on the first one. And
I don't listen. If it wasn't for Mr. Garvey, Thomas, contacting me, I wasn't necessarily feeling it, to be quite honest. I don't know whether it was shy, whether it was trying, because I like that studio feel. Do you know what I mean? And the community link that you're directly talking with the community. But obviously times call for different measures. And I also like this. I think
To add, Daryl's phone died. If anyone was watching and seen that it just cut off, he was going to come in, but I've told him that we're wrapping up the show now. So if anyone's got any further questions or they're interested in being an early adopter, purchasing some coins, then just hit me up and we'll sort it out. But you've got 2 weeks left in early adopter. What are you saying, Luke?
I was going to say shout out to Sister Colette as well for blessing up the Tap Talks tonight. It's always a pleasure when you're in the building.
Yes.
I'd like to thank you very much.
I just wanted to add the organisation I was talking about earlier with ADPAC, the African Diaspora Political Action Committee. Colette will be our Manchester lead, so she's out of her sabbatical officially. And so I threw her in the deep end. She didn't have a say in the matter, so yeah.
We'll have to do a show around that, won't we, around ADPAC?
Yeah. We'll bring Dean on and obviously Colette, and yeah, we'll get the discussion rolling with that on the next show.
Okay. One more point just from Angeli.
Do we have to wait a month for the next show?
Hold on. Go on, Angeli.
What was the point?
Oh, I thought, was it to me to mention it about Stevie?
Don't blow me up like that, bro. But yeah.
Listen, well, because I didn't even know. So when you said it, I definitely wanted us to do something.
You don't have to. It's fine. It's just because
no. I definitely want to do something. I'm probably not.
You mean because it was
now.
his birthday yesterday?
Yeah.
Usually the show starts with.
But that's why I was really surprised that you didn't play conversation piece at the beginning.
I'm going to find it. I'm going to play it. You can hear
it.
Technical skills.
Can I sing it? If I had the lyrics,
yeah.
Where?
We've got time.
Shall we all sing it?
No.
What were you going to sing?
Conversation.
Conversation piece. I've actually got it here, but when I played it before, you couldn't hear it, could you? Let me try. Should I just try it again? It may be if I share my screen. Let me give it a try, yeah? Let's see if we can do it.
If not, I've got it.
All right, let's see what we can do.
Luke, you look like you're out of Star Wars.
Right, tell me if you can hear it. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Can't somebody just play it on the phone? Would that not work?
Listen.
Do you know what I mean, Angeli?
Can you hear it? Don't know where to put it. I tell you what, I can play it on my computer.
Go on, do that.
Let's see if that works.
I heard it then.
I heard it. Was that your phone? I tried to play it.
You could hear it.
Again, another thing you got to work. Go for it, Angeli.
You could hear it, you know, Anthony.
You could hear it when I was playing it?
Yeah.
No, Angeli, but it was loud. Just needed to turn it down a little bit.
I needed to turn it down. You don't have volume.
Angeli.
Oh, so could you hear it when I played it? Could you hear it when I played it?
No.
No. You just said you could hear it, Otis.
I could hear someone. I don't know. Go on, Angel.
Go on, Angeli.
Can you hear it?
No.
Nah, it wasn't you.
It wasn't you then. Right, let me try again.
Bye.
No.
No.
This is so whack.
Just play it on your phone, Angel. Look,
I am.
Novices.
I am. What can you hear? Okay. Everybody now. Oh, it's no.
Ain't no chance to reach our greatest height unless we. What's happened?
Sorry, I muted myself.
Answer call. And you for me.
Are you not singing?
There's no chance to reach our greatest height.
We can pause what and say no, this can't be.
We're usually talking over it, saying, and now we're getting ready for Member Thursday.
So bad, so good. So bad, so good.
You lot just doing the show.
So bad, so good. So bad, so good. That's the line for me for the whole show, you know.
Like in the Holocaust, 6 million Jews, 150 million blacks.
Okay. Yes. For our first session of the Search Engine Facebook page. Okay then, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And we'll speak soon. And just to answer your question, Otis, I don't think we don't necessarily have to wait another month. I haven't got loads of shows booked. Yeah. So if you want to do something again in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then yeah. But you will stay with we'll have a chat on that. Okay, thank you all very much. It's a good start. And we will develop. Work it out.
You don't get the green screen to work now.
It wasn't as it was fuzzy. It's still like that. If I could turn you around and show you all the stuff that I've got all over my floor and everything, trying to get things right, big old lights and everything. Just for you guys, just trying to do the best, you know.
Thank you.
Okay then, thanks for the song. Speak to you soon.
Good night.
Take care. Okay, that's the first T.A.P Talks meet Search Engine show on Facebook. So stay tuned for future shows to come. We will improve and get better. So bear with us. So until next time, you take care, and don't forget, Legacy Radio is still airing, so you can still tune in on Legacy 90.1 FM or go online www.legacyradio90.1. Okay, you take care. See ya.